Hi, this is Jennifer Hansen from stitchdiva Studios. I'm just learning how to use my video equipment to share the skills and techniques required for use in our patterns. Available for direct download online from stitchdiva.com or at fine yarn retailers worldwide. Please, if you like these videos, if you don't like them, if you'd like to see something else in future, let us know. Drop us an email at support@stitchdiva.com. But right now, sit back and enjoy the show. This is one in a multi-part series I have available on our website at stitchdiva.com and at YouTube on Broomstick Lace. We're going to cover the basics of Broomstick Lace, how to work in the round, and how to do shaping, increasing and decreasing. What you're going to need to get started is a large knitting needle, I use the number 19 in the videos, and a crochet hook appropriately sized to your yarn. Let's get started.
And to start out broomstick lace work, all you're going to need to do is create a slip knot, place it on your hook, just as you would with any other kind of crochet work, and we're going to chain. For the purposes of this demonstration here, I'm going to chain 17. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Alright, and you can see I've got a nice little chain of 17. Let me show you a little tip, a little trick, and now this isn't really specific to broomstick lace at all. This applies to really any kind of crochet hook. When you create a chain has a front, and you can see the front of this crochet chain here with the nice little V's, and it has a back. And you can see the back of the crochet chain. Let's see how well we could see it here. It's got these little back humps, these little vertical bars that actually run parallel to the direction of the chain. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a row of single crochet into these back humps, and I'm going to start from the second chain from the hook. Now, what I'm going to work here is a row of single crochet. I like to start out my broomstick lace work by working a setup row of single crochet first, and I like to work my setup row into the back hump of the chain, because with most of my crochet work I like to work into the back hump of the chain, and I'll show you why in a minute, because it creates a much more elegant fabric than not doing it. Sometimes it's a little trickier, sometimes it's a little trickier finding that back hump. Doing the best I can here. You'll notice also that I am not the most efficient crocheter on the planet, and that's okay. I like to throw my yarn when I work. I'm self-taught. I don't know why I did that, but my fabrics come out looking pretty good, and I enjoy what I'm doing, so it really is okay. There is really no right. I know there's knitting police out there, there's crochet police out there, there's lots of people who like to tell you what you're doing is wrong or right, but really, as long as you are happy doing what you're doing while you're doing it, and you're happy with your results, that's really all there is to it. Don't let the knitting and crochet police get you down. Enjoy what you do. Have a good time. Life is short. Alright, so I'm working into the back hump of the chain here, and I'm almost done. Let's see here. There I go. And now I'm going to show you why that was just such a much better way of working. See, here's the top of my single crochet stitches right here. Well, there's the bottom of my single crochet stitches. It's a mirror image. So the top and bottom of my fabric are mirror images of each other. In a way, they're symmetrical. And symmetry is always just such a nice thing when we're dealing with aesthetic matters. So it's a good thing. Try it out sometime. Alright, so I've done my first setup row of single crochet for my broomstick lace, and now I'm ready for my loop row of broomstick lace. Let me grab my knitting needle. Now, one thing just before I get started knitting, with broomstick lace is really a two-row pattern. You see here I'm pulling my loop high, and I'm slipping it onto my knitting needle here. And what I'm going to do is I am just going to, the loop, for every stitch that's on the row rather, I am going to pull up a loop and place it on this knitting needle. Now, the first loop that's on my knitting needle corresponds to the first stitch of the row, so I don't have to insert my hook in the first stitch of the row. But I'm going to insert my hook in the second stitch of the row. I'm going to yarn over. I'm going to pull up a loop. I'm not going to twist it. And I'm just going to place it onto the knitting needle. Not pulling it too tight, pulling it tight enough, pushing back the loops to the constant size, the consistent size part of the knitting needle, because I'm using the knitting needle to create loops of a consistent size for my fabric. I'm going to go ahead and do that for the rest of the row. Now with broomstick lace, as I was starting to talk about earlier, and I'm going to do that essentially, wait a minute, I keep talking and then jumping around here, and I know that may be a little confusing, but I think you guys can deal with it and bear with me. What I'm doing here is in every stitch of this row, I'm pulling up a loop. Broomstick lace is done in really 2 rows. There's really 2 rows to the broomstick lace pattern, the loop row and then the crochet stitch row. So what I'm showing you is the loop row right now. Another interesting thing about broomstick lace is that the right side of the work always faces you. You'll notice while I'm doing this technique, I'm never going to turn the work. It's kind of similar to Tunisian crochet in that way. Broomstick lace has been around a long time. I've heard stories, I really don't know whether they're true or not, that the pioneers going across the plains in their covered wagons used broomstick handles, and that's where it came from. Really used whatever they had on hand to create, warm items, warm blankets and stuff quickly for their families because they were like dying of cold and such. Don't know if it's true. I do know that in the 50s and in the 70s there was some cool broomstick lace work going on. It's been called jiffy lace because the technique is so fast. I mean, what you can see here, and I'm not doing it the fastest in the world because I'm operating camera equipment and doing this stuff at the same time. But what you probably can tell is that I've created quite a bit of height by doing this loop row, that quite a few rows of standard crochet stitches would have been required to make. So you can see how it can be used to create rather quick fabrics when compared to standard crochet. I'm working now into the last stitch of the row. You can see that I have now a loop on my hook for every stitch that's in the row. And what I'm going to do now to prepare for my crochet stitch row is I'm just going to slide all of these loops off of my needle, and that's okay. Don't be alarmed. Sometimes people get scared at the sight of all these live loops.